Awesome. I love it. It's very Miami. Well, hi everybody. I'm Ashley Crowder. I'm the co-founder and CEO of VNTANA. We're a 3D infrastructure platform, so we make it incredibly easy to view, manage, optimize, and distribute 3D assets wherever you need them. And today I'm going to be talking about how you can build a successful 3D strategy for your organization and all the value that that can bring. 3D really benefits the entire life cycle of a product, from design, manufacturing, merchandising, as well as sales and marketing. And that's from B2B sales as well as B2C. So I'm going to kind of dig into how a lot of our clients are seeing this value and then how you can set up yourself for success in that. So for start, 3D is drastically improving the design cycles. The auto industry has known this for decades, designing in AutoCAD, and every other industry is finally starting to catch up. So with apparel, we see them designing in Clo and Browseware, footwear, Keyshop, Moto. Everybody kind of has their, design program of choice. But whatever you're using, 3D allows you to do more product testing. We have a client, Mesh One. They do product testing for a number of brands, and they've started using 3D to iterate much faster. And so you can actually get way more testing done. It's 100x the number of product and iterations that you can test. You can test with way more users. You're not limited by geography. And so you can iterate and design a better product before you invest in expensive dyes and cast. And so this has been a huge benefit for a lot of people across apparel and footwear that we work with. We also then see them using 3D to sell to retailers. So instead of manufacturing physical samples, they're using products like Beyond XR, where you can create a virtual showroom and bring in your buyers to actually have this immersive buying experience as opposed to a flat PowerPoint. And they've actually integrated VNTANA, so you can click and see an interactive 3D object on a viewer, see it in AR, so you're actually can be in the comfort of your home, but be walking around a mannequin seeing the clothes on, which is pretty cool. VibeIQ is another partner of ours, and so we automatically publish 3D assets, and with their platform, you can actually design a full store. So you can say exactly where the carpet's gonna go, where you're gonna put different tables, where you're gonna have the product. And so people are using this within that design phase, and then they're also using it to train the retailers so that they know exactly where they should place all the product and how they should set up that store, which is really cool. And the value is real. So Mommy Brothers are a client of ours. They make a number of different children clothing brands. They've fully replaced their physical products with 3D using our platform, and so they're saving about $90,000 per season per brand. And you do multiple seasons throughout the year, and about 4.4 tons of carbon. Which is pretty amazing. So this, again, is a real value to the bottom line. It pays for itself very quickly. Merrill is another client that we worked with. We did an integration with Swatchbook, and with 3D, they're estimating cost savings about 81% per shoe and increased speed to market by 1 month. So when you think about that times a company like Wolverine Worldwide, it's massive. So they take the CAD file, drop it into Swatchbook, add the materials, it then gets optimized through VNTANA so we can automatically meet the specs of wherever you're trying to go. And so then before they even manufacture a shoe, they can get a 3D version on a website. So you can see this original was 3 million polygons. That's not gonna work for you anywhere. So normally this would take a lot of manual work, which we automate for them. So now this can go onto e-commerce, again, before that shoe is even manufactured, done and sent out to consumers for product testing before they invest in those heavy dyes. And then it can also be dropped into Unity or Unreal, like this amazing virtual showroom they use to sell to retailers. So that was pretty cool. And then consumers are demanding 3D as well. 3D gives consumers such a better understanding of the product that it's proven to increase conversion rates, reduce returns, and increase average cart sizes. Shopify did this study, but there's been a number of studies that have been out there, but it just gives consumers a whole view of that product. Clients like Diesel have implemented 3D online, and every product ends up being different. So for Diesel, their conversion rate stayed relatively the same, but they saw average cart size drastically increase with 3D compared to 2D. And so these were designed in CLO, a standard design program, uploaded to VNTANA and published. They were live in less than a week. Stod's another client, and they actually saw returns decrease drastically, about 66% with 3D, which makes sense. Purse's number one reason it's returned, it was bigger or smaller than I thought it was. With augmented reality, you can see it true to size. So it made sense that this really helped their return rates. So that's another huge cost savings as well as reduced carbon footprint. So the benefits for 3D for e-com are massive. It's adding to the bottom line, it's increasing conversion rate, reducing returns, increasing average cart size. It also positions your brand as tech savvy and forward thinking. And then once you have a 3D asset, you can create any type of content you need from that 3D model. We always talk about 3D as that highest level asset, and you can create all the 2D renders from that. So you can actually reduce the number of photo shoots that you have, again, significantly reducing costs for your organization. And then 3D ads are here, which is so exciting. And they're also increasing conversion rate. So we work with Google, and they're all in on 3D commerce. Bill Reddy, the president of Google Commerce, said at their event last month, we believe AR will become the next permanent staple in how shoppers interact with brands and digital products. We are bringing this to Google Search. If you have 3D models, we can surface them, which is true. So we have an integration with Google, can publish 3D to search. So if you were to search Hoka shoe, you actually will see a 3D version that you could click and pop up, which is really exciting. And then also if you have 3D on your e-commerce website, we can make sure that Google sees that, just like they see the images and videos on your website to help with your SEO. So super excited for everything Google is doing and excited to be working with them. Snapchat, they were one of the first. They've been having 3D ads and AR try-on for a while. This is a fun AR try-on experience we built for Keen. So that's me wearing those virtual shoes. If you want to try it, you can scan that Snap QR code for later. And they're also seeing the same stat. 3D and AR is about doubling that conversion rate, so it's way more engaging for consumers. We also helped Meta test 3D ads this year. You may or may not have seen them on Facebook and Instagram. They're not public yet, but this is, 3D is becoming rolled out across every major platform. And you also have digital-only sales. So you have companies like DressX that are selling digital fashion that you can then virtually try on and see on you. So if you're an Instagram influencer and you are wanting to save money, you no longer need to buy all those clothes. You can try on virtual ones. The Fabricant's another virtual fashion company. We've helped them kind of display some of their products. They've created a number of digital-only lines for even physical brands like Puma. So everyone's really starting to get into this space. And then I'm sure everyone remembers when Artifact made $3 million in 7 minutes selling digital shoes, and then Nike bought them very quickly. But this proves people are really willing to spend on digital goods. They're finding real value in it. Now, I know we've had a huge correction in the NFT market this year. I think it was needed. But the technology is here to stay because NFTs are that contract of ownership in the metaverse. So it lets me buy that Gucci purse in Roblox, and I can later take it into Fortnite. That's what I think is so exciting about NFTs. And Gen Z is increasingly spending more to dress their digital avatars. Back in 2018, $93 billion was spent in-game on digital assets, and it's continued to increase since then. My friend's daughter asked for all her allowance in Robux because she just wants to dress her avatar, because that's where she meets her friends. And I know Wall Street Journal just did an interesting article on that. So every fashion company should be thinking about how they can monetize and drive a new revenue stream through digital sales. But you should be thinking about where your consumers are today. So stick with the players with the large consumer bases. Roblox is 37 million daily active users. Fortnite's 350 million. It's literally the entire US population gets on Fortnite a day, which is crazy to think about, versus Decentraland and Sandbox, which I love. I think they have huge potential as platforms, but they have under 1 million in daily active users. So if you have limited budget, think about, where the most users are that you can get eyeballs from. So in order to take advantage of all these amazing benefits, you need to have a 3D strategy where you can take that single source of truth 3D asset and move it across your entire organization, from design to development and go-to-market. We've seen so many companies waste money hiring an agency that's recreating assets for just a Facebook application. And then they've got a different internal team creating 3D assets for merchandising and line sheets. If you build out your systems properly, you can build one file and use it everywhere. And when you're building, you want to make sure you're building everything for real time. So stick with PBR materials. PBR is required for mobile, web, augmented reality, virtual reality, anything in a game engine. So just start here and you'll save yourself time. Most brands started using pre-rendered or oftentimes V-Ray materials, which are beautiful and amazing to create 2D renders, but they won't work in real time. And we've seen a lot of people drive themselves crazy trying to match. So you have this shoe that's in pre-rendered materials, and then you have this one in PBR, and you're trying to make the colors exactly the same. It's like apples to oranges. You're going to drive yourself crazy. So I would say stick with PBR. I would also suggest investing in a standard material library. And this should be used with your internal team and shared with your outside vendors if you have outside vendors. So everybody is pulling from that same exact material library. So that Versace red is the exact same Versace red for every product. Again, it creates consistency across your products. Adobe Substance is an amazing library of thousands of PBR materials, so I suggest starting there. And then you want to create standard naming conventions. Again, and these should be used by internal teams as well as outside vendors if you're using them. A great kind of nomenclature to use as an example is location, name, material, and type. So if we're looking at this car and I'm talking about the window on the right side, location would be R, its name's window, the material is glass, and it's the geo or the group. And this is so that anybody who opens up that asset can understand and know what it is and make updates quickly. And if you're using standard naming conventions, you can also script and automate a lot of workflows very easily. So this does take time in the beginning, but it's something that's worth it because it's going to save you a huge amount of time and money in the end. And now I'm getting like really 3D technical for 3D people here, but UVs are super important. For people who don't do 3D modeling, this is kind of like the paint by numbers. So UV maps tell you where that material and color goes on the geometry of the 3D model. You want to keep everything in the 0 to 1 space. Again, this makes it easy as you're converting and importing assets into various different programs. It'll just make your life so much easier. And so once you have all these amazing PBR-ready, beautiful 3D models, you want a centralized place to store them. And you want the native files as well as all those derivatives. So your GLB for the web, your USDZ file for Apple, because they always have to be different. And you want to have a headless system. And what that means is basically everything's stored in your backend, but you have an API so it can easily be sent to any front-end application. So many companies have invested in PLM and DAM systems over the years today that can only handle 2D content. And now they're struggling to say, how do we upgrade these? If you have a headless system, and it's one of the reasons we built VNTANA in this way, is you don't need to move everything to us. We can just bolt onto your existing DAM and PLM and quickly upgrade it to 3D. If there's one consistency, tech is always changing. It is ever changing. Well, that's like the only thing we know. And so if you're buying new software, whatever it is, you should be looking at, does it have a robust API? Can I easily integrate this with other pieces of software in the future that I don't even know I want yet? So this is really important. And then this seems like an absolute no-brainer, but it is not. Let customers know where that 3D experience is. This is one of our clients, PSV Speakers. I thought they did a beautiful design. This is their product page, right under the price, view and AR. It's a $9,000 speaker. I really want to make sure that looks beautiful and fits in my living room before I buy it. So it's a great use case. But I've talked to clients who are like, yeah, we tested this 3D AR thing a year ago, but it was buried somewhere on the website. I don't know. And it's like, why did you do that? Like, customers need to know where to find it. So your standard UX design is really important for where you're placing this, so consumers know. And every platform has their own requirements. So tell your design team where you're planning to use that 3D. Here's kind of just like a quick snapshot, which is helpful for people from Google, Facebook, Snap, etc. Most people accept GLTF. It's quickly becoming the standard. We're pushing Roblox to take it. Hopefully they accept soon. But they all have specific size limits, so you can see are generally pretty small, and polygon limits and various texture sizes. So again, as long as you're building your asset in PBR materials, it'll work across all these, and then you just need to optimize it to the different specs. So this is something that we were sick of doing manually at VNTANA, so we wrote some algorithms to automate this for you. So if you have an asset, we always suggest building it in the highest quality. You want that high poly, beautiful model that you can create every derivative from. And then with VNTANA, this shoe was 5 million polys, got it down to under 100,000. So that's gonna meet the specs of Google, Facebook, anywhere you wanna go. No one likes doing this work anyways, so we like to make people happy. So the key takeaways for a successful 3D strategy is go where your customers are. So if you want a metaverse strategy, if you want to get in there, look at Fortnite, Roblox, where are there really high daily active users, who is your customer base, and where are they spending time today? And play the long game. You wouldn't make one post on Instagram and say you have a social media presence, right? It's consistency. So think about how are you gonna take these 3D assets of your products and digital twins and create a consistent consumer journey, which you now can do from ads to your e-commerce page to a metaverse world. And don't be afraid to test. Just make sure that you design the test and have a way to measure it, and you're defining what success looks like. So then you can iterate each time. Super important. And take advantage of platforms that enable 3D today. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You can publish to Google. You can utilize Spark AR for Facebook and Instagram and Snap. Like all of these platforms where your customers are interacting and going to today have the ability to support 3D. So don't build your own custom app. It doesn't make sense. And then you want to create standard naming conventions and material libraries for your internal teams and vendors so everybody's speaking the same language and anybody can pick up that model and start working on it and know what to do. And then make sure that you're working with PBR materials. And if you do all this, then you can reap the huge benefits of 3D across your whole organization. So from design and manufacturing, we're seeing increased speed to market, reduced carbon footprint, and significantly reduced cost. In sales and marketing, we're seeing increased conversion rate, increased cart size, and reduced returns. And then we have these brand new revenue streams that people are just starting to dip their toe in, like selling limited edition NFTs and selling in-game skins. And the last thing I'll leave you with is from the IBM Institute of Business Value. To ignore the implication of AR would be akin to ignore the implication of online shopping. If 15 years ago you were a brand and said, I'm not gonna do e-com, you have to do it now, or if you didn't build a .com, you're selling on Amazon, right? So this is really where we are with 3D today. You need to be thinking about investing in it now, or I think you will be left behind. So I hope this is very helpful. Feel free to ask me questions, and you can always email me at ashley@vntana.com. Thanks.